Nope, don't want to do that.
These mics are really good.
They're not bad. They're not bad. They're middle of the road.
What do one of these go? $150?
75.
Oh, that ain't bad.
No. It was one of those things that's like, we don't want to do things half-assed, but we don't want to go out and spend a couple grand on shit and then either not like it or not do it again. So.
Mm-hmm.
We are live. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is not how I envision this stream going. Because all you're doing is seeing me. You're seeing me. For whatever reason, my camera is not coming into the stream, so I do apologize for that. But yes, we are indeed live. And Jeffrey Burton, who is that? Or who is that behind you? No one's really behind me. I've got Chris Reed in front of me, and we are sitting here awaiting a Game 7. Game 7, which I bet you if you'd have told any Dodgers fan earlier this week that you would be getting a Game 7, they probably would have definitely said they would definitely go for that. So
they'd either slug you for mocking them,
right,
or love your faith.
Yeah, and now
sorry if you hear any thumping outside. Either the Russians are invading or someone's having a hell of a good time out there.
That is very true. I thought it was the kids bouncing around upstairs, but that is not the case. So yeah, let's pretty much today, ladies and gentlemen, what we're gonna do is, aside from the horrible, crappy video that you're getting, we're gonna do some baseball talk, like the thumbnail is suggesting, and then we're gonna jump into which I thought we would be doing this Big Ten show next week, but I guess my internal calendar is wrong, and the Big Ten is slated to start on Friday. So
Illinois, Wisconsin, I think.
That is true. It's at Wisconsin at 8:00. So we'll get to that. But yeah, we've got the Dodgers Braves Game 7, and we'll kind of dissect that as we go along here. But obviously the truncated season is made for a very, very odd postseason, just because there's more teams in the postseason this year. As we well know, if it was a regular postseason, the Astros wouldn't even have been there, so we wouldn't have to worry about
cheating bastards.
Yeah, cheaters. But thankfully, they didn't. The Astros' dream was crushed last night, and I was so happy. So happy.
Mr. Rosarena put her away for the Rays.
Yeah, what an upcoming star that kid is, and what better time to do it on one of the biggest stages of your career. So kudos to him. I mean, that there is a reason why Tampa was the number 1 seed. They had the best record in the American League, and it just goes to show you that pretty much no one heard of Rosarena, or if they did, he wasn't that big of a deal. Kind of during the regular season, he had not a stellar, not what he did in the playoffs, obviously, but he had a very good, above average season, the 60-game season. So that in and of itself, kind of goes to show you how, just surprisingly and unexpected, that's one of the things that people say is, they just want to get in the tournament and see what happens. So he obviously was kind of the Cinderella of everybody in the postseason. But what's really, really cool, and for everyone that's joining the broadcast, my name is Ryan Turbo Jackson. I am the host of the Turbo and 2K show, and I have my good friend Chris Reed sitting across from me, even though you can't see me. I do apologize for the video because this isn't what we're about. If you go back and watch our last week's live stream, you'll be able to see how much better everything usually is. So yeah, my normal guest or the 2K's part of the Turbo and 2K show. He just got back from a hunting trip and spending
Shot
time.
a stud.
Yes, he did. And he is he's got a little son that is definitely a daddy's boy. So he's spending time with him. So, and obviously family is more important than just us sitting here shooting the shit, being morons and ripping on professional athletes, which we can't even hold a light to as far as athletic ability goes. But that is who we are. So go ahead and
They don't call it being an armchair quarterback or nothing.
Exactly. And if you guys have any questions, go ahead. This is a live show. I will be able to see your comments, and I'll also put them up on the screen to make you feel kind of cool, and I'll shout you out. So at any time during the show, go ahead. If we say something stupid, call us out. If we say something that you agree, let us know. And if you're not a subscriber and you want to see these, and I promise next week the video I'll get the video issues worked out previous to this, but go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the bell to make sure you get notified when we do go live. So, and for all of you because we also I take the audio from this and upload it to our normal audio podcast. Search the Turbo and 2K show wherever you get your audio podcast, and give us a subscribe on there too, because I know there's a lot of people that don't want to just sit and watch a whole hour of us being stupid. They like to listen to us in the car and yell at the radio on the car or in the car. So we're coming at you both ways. You get to see our ugly mugs, and because I have been told I do have a voice for radio. So and then I'm cool with that. But yes, the MLB playoffs. We are getting ever so close to the World Series matchup. Like I said, after tonight, we will know who is going to play the Rays. And Chris, to be honest with you, the start of yesterday, I was kind of bitter. I was very bitter, mainly because I'm a huge Red Sox fan, and I didn't want the Astros anywhere near the conversation of my 04 Red Sox.
3-0.
Yes.
Comeback.
Yes.
Tainted.
Yes. And Jeff says, "No, your dad told you you had a face for radio." Yeah, that's very true, Jeff. Very, very true. But no, just the whole aura around that team and the whole cheating scandal and everything. Like I said, I wanted no absolute part of my beloved Red Sox having to share the spotlight with a team like that.
And at the end of the day, the game of baseball.
Exactly.
The game of baseball is the longest played sport in our nation, and these people are akin to the 1919 Black Sox.
Sure. Yep. 100%. And the Braves have taken a 1-0 lead in the top of the first, and Mr. Ozuna is continuing to swing a hot bat. That dude has, well, he basically beat the entire Dodgers team in Game 5.
Yeah, and shout out to the Braves GM. What a stud.
Yes.
8 years, $100 million. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Acuna led off the game with a walk, and I want to say Freeman doubled up with a walk. So 2 runners on, and Acuna hits a seed into left field to score. And Acuna's got to have a big game. He has got to have a big game because he really hasn't. He's kind of here and there, but he's such a good player that he can take over an entire game by himself, and he needs to do that. Even though Freddie Freeman is by far, the dude's basically hitting 500 in the fucking series. He's been most of their offense.
Money, just straight money.
Yeah, and you want to talk about the Atlanta's GM locking up Acuna and Albies for extremely cheap in a very long time, and basically building that team around Freddie Freeman. I mean, that's That's huge. That's huge. And then just imagine how much further the Braves would be with that stud Soroka. Obviously went down with Tommy John, which was horrible. And their pitching staff would be so much better with him. The kid's a fucking stud. And speaking of young pitchers, I'm actually kind of shocked that the Dodgers are running Dustin May out again.
Yeah, the first time in championship series history that two rookies have started against each other.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what the Rays have done all year.
Yep.
They have run no-name people out, and no matter if they pitch a third of an inning or 3 innings or 9 innings, they get the job done.
Yeah, they pretty much, with the exception of the Dodgers, jumping out to that 11-0 lead in I think it was Game 3, and just putting a stamp on it that they're this is our game, don't fuck with us. And then the Braves the next game hang 10 on them. I mean, not in 1 inning, but still, the resiliency and the train, and you're right. It seems like every pitcher that they run out, whether it's a bullpen, bullpen start or any of the other starters that they've run out there, have done an amazing job. Like I said, with the exception of that one game, but they don't have like a number one that you can lean on. They just have a bunch of very good pitchers that I'm not.
Snell is the closest that they would come to a number one.
Oh, I'm talking about the Braves.
Oh,
right
I'm
now.
sorry.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, even the Rays as well. I mean, they've got Charlie Morton, who was the perfect guy to run out there last night. Obviously, Blake Snell is their stud on that staff. But after those two, it's kind of just pin it together. And the Rays have a very, very good bullpen as well. So, and Atlanta's very similar. They have a very good bullpen. They have, they could run out, 5 or 6 dudes that are hitting triple digits like it's nothing. And just both the teams pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't call Atlanta a small market. They're kind of a mid-market that's pushing the envelope to be starting to play with the big boys like the Red Sox, the Yankees.
The biggest airport in the nation. The busiest airport in the nation, if anyone wanted to know.
and obviously the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I think, are the ones that are leading the push for the biggest payroll, and pretty much they don't care about the luxury tax. We just want a fucking World Series, and we're gonna see how this game goes. If it does happen and the Braves beat them, what do they do?
I mean, Mookie's making more money than the whole damn team.
Yeah, and Mookie's also batting like .210, which he did for the Red Sox when he won a ring with them. He batted .220 with like 3 RBIs. He was not the reason. I mean, last night, was it last night or the night before, you saw him make up that jumping against the wall catch that probably would have extended the game, or the game would have turned out a lot different had he not done that. But as far as at the plate, he's been non-existent.
You can pay a lot of good. You don't have to pay as well for a good defensive center fielder.
Right.
There are a lot of good defensive center fielders, but there aren't a lot of good defensive center fielders that can hit the ball.
Sure.
And that's why they paid him, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But if they want to win, and if he wants to, I guess, show Los Angeles that he deserves this,
mm-hmm.
he needs to get the job done.
Yeah. Now, like I said, this is gonna where I said Acuna needs to show up for the Braves in this game. This is when Mookie needs to show up for the Dodgers. For the most part, Corey Seager's been anchoring pretty much the entire offense of the Dodgers. Turner's helped out a lot.
6 home runs in the playoffs, 15 RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a stud.
And Bellinger's been coming on. He didn't have the greatest start to the series or the start of the postseason period. So definitely the bats are there for the Dodgers, for sure. It's just, are they going to show up? And with Atlanta's pitching has been pretty much, like I said, just aside from the one game, have been really dominant. So it's going to be a great game to watch, and I'm hoping that we can cruise through it with you guys. And like I said, if you have any questions, let us know. If you want to jump into the chat, go ahead. Like I said, we've already put Jeff's name up there a few times, and so yeah, let's get some more questions, more comments. And when you do jump in the chat, let me know where you're from. How'd you find us? We'd love to chat with you. But yeah, we're overall. I think that because one of the biggest things is that obviously with the change in the schedule of baseball, the 60 games, they've had a lot different. The playoffs itself have had a lot of different looks to it, and one of the biggest questions is this good for baseball to move forward with this many, with a 162 game season? Do you have this many, like this playoff style right now? Is it better for baseball this way? And I've been thinking long and hard about it, because there's always the argument that the more teams that are in the playoff, the more meaningful baseball that the regular season brings, the more active the trade deadline is. And by the way, Mookie's batting .227.
227.
Yep, 227.
That deserves triple-digit money.
Yeah. And now, like we said, Corey Seager, he's going to be the next one that's going to get paid on this team, whether it's this team or another team. Hint, Detroit. And but is this good for baseball?
I don't think so. So, yes, it will increase the amount of meaningful baseball played in September. Non-playoff baseball, regular season.
Yep.
More teams will be buyers at the trade deadline. Fair enough. But at the end of the day, playoffs are meant to be a select few, the best.
Sure.
And yes, you can get hot at the right time. But a playoff team has historically been, obviously, when it first started, the best team in the American League and the best team in the National League. And that was who played in the World Series. And as television has come on, obviously we want more meaningful baseball. So, hey, let's put some more teams in. Same thing with the NCAA tournament, right? Mm-hmm. Where does it stop?
Yeah, but how much longer are we going to wait before there's 128 teams in the
right? I mean, every damn team in Division I basketball decides, let's just get in the tournament so we can make some more money. Mm-hmm. So where does it stop? Where does the integrity of baseball come in, and where does the owner's pocketbook step out?
No, the more that I looked into this, the more I kind of soul searched with it. I'm with you. I don't mind the second.
The one game playoff or whatever, the wild card play in.
I don't mind the two teams vying for one wild card spot. I don't mind that.
No, I think that's neat.
Yeah, and now I look at how this tournament is, because basically this is what this is a big ass tournament. I like how they play every day. They have a couple days in between the different series.
But they have that most anyway in most baseball series. Yeah, in the playoffs.
And it's I think it's more because normally the traditional way is it's 2-3-2, and in between the two games, then there's a travel day, and then there's the three, and with it being in one spot, I like the fact that it's just 7 games. If need be, it's 7 days in a row.
Yep, and that definitely plays into a team like the Tampa Bay Rays, who throw out a bunch of arms out there.
Yeah, that are deep as fuck.
7 days in a row. You look at like the 0-2 Diamondbacks with Randy Johnson pitching Game 1, Game 4, and then coming back for Game 7, right? So a 3 days rest, you can do it. Mm-hmm. But when do you do that 7 days in a row? 3 days rest. Mm-hmm. That's
I completely understand why they're doing it this way this year.
Absolutely,
I completely get it.
You got to get it done. Number one, it's October 20th.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever the hell. What is it today? 21st, 20th.
Yeah,
it might be the 20th.
Something like that.
Whatever, it doesn't
matter.
It's
the 18th.
It's 18th. Yeah, close enough.
But I mean, even in the normal World Series era, that's why. Reggie Jackson was Mr. October. Then Jeets came along, and he was Mr. November. So it's not uncommon to have a World Series run into November. That's not the part that gets me. It's just the fact that, like I said, they're played at the same place. So you're kind of in that quote unquote bubble. I get that. Even if they were played at each other's stadiums, some states aren't even still allowing fans. Some do. So the home field advantage is kind of gone. I think However, sometimes a home field advantage can extend from not only the fans but the dimensions of the stadium. You especially like you take a very unique shaped stadium like Fenway. You take that compared to like Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Those are two very different shaped fields, and that in and of itself can be kind of a home field advantage as well. So take that out with the COVID stuff. This is what we got. But no, I'm not ready for baseball to do kind of what hockey does, kind of what the NBA does. Is like half the teams make the fucking playoff.
Right.
I don't like that.
NBA, the 8th seed is, under 500 damn near every year.
Yeah. Well, you take like this.
The Astros.
The Astros were under 500, and they made it.
Damn near to the freaking World Series.
Yeah. So
fuckers.
Yeah. I'm guys, trust me that I'm not just saying that because I hate the Astros. I'm saying that just because to me it diminishes the playoffs when you expand it that much. You water it down too much. But then again, you could say, well, Turbo, you get the excitement of teams that you wouldn't have seen, and you get the Cinderella stories, and fuck that. I don't care. I don't care. When I'm watching playoff baseball, I want the best fucking teams that have been there all year, and I don't want to put up with the other bullshit. I really don't. And yes, granted, this year, we're talking about the Astros, but had it been the Tigers, I would have said the same thing. You're not over 500. You don't belong in the playoffs. And I'm sure that most every Tigers fan out there would say the exact same thing, even though they want their team in the playoffs. And I think the Tigers were like 3 games away, or 2 or 3 games away from that last spot. So to me, had the Tigers gotten in, they wouldn't have made the strong of a push as what the Astros did. Just because the Astros are, even though their record didn't show it, they're a far better team than the Tigers. They're a far better team than lots of other teams too. Because that's they got there.
And they showed they don't need a trash can to win.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Fair enough. We don't know that.
Yeah.
You're very right.
Yeah.
Maybe not a trash can.
Yeah. Let's not cast the we're perfect and everything is fine net on them quite yet. But let's get back to.
One caveat. I don't think Dusty Baker would allow that to happen.
No.
I think that he's a purist and respects the game, and would not allow that to happen. I hope not.
Yeah.
You're right.
I would definitely hope so. And obviously the Astros are very content with what he's doing because they extended him, and it's kind of odd to see that, not only because I'm a huge Dusty guy. I've always loved Dusty Baker, and it's kind of going against the norm in what baseball is right now, with going with the hot young coaches.
Yep.
You look at all around baseball. There's hardly any what I would consider. I mean, yeah, there's very, very, very few of them that have been like.
Yeah, there's no Jim Leland's anymore with a big old craw and.
No, yeah, smoking heaters in the clubhouse. Yeah. There really aren't any good old boys left. Bruce Bochy's gone. Even Ron Gardenhire's gone now, and I would consider Ron Gardenhire a good old boy. He'd been around the block a lot. You still have Joe Madden. But even he's getting he's out there in LA with quite possibly the best player on the fucking planet, and you can't even make the playoffs.
And he's a little bit in left field anyway.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons that he's so likable in my opinion. And well, with him you could probably take it one of two ways. Either his trains of thought are just way out of what you would think, so you hate him, or you embrace him and like him for what he does and stuff like that. So I could see how it could go one way or the other with that for sure. But still, to me he's in that good old boy realm.
He is the good old boy now.
Yeah,
Dusty is. He's just the good old boy in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That relic of the past. That
I think both him and Madden are they both own wineries now, so they're balls deep in grapes if you want to think about it like that too. So, but no, they obviously have the right guy in, pulling the strings, and but like I said, it's totally contradictory of what the trend is in
across sports. Yeah. Also, I mean, you look at the NFL.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to go to that.
Talk about Sean McVay,
mm-hmm.
Matt Nagy, Matt LaFleur. The list goes on and on. They promoted the special teams coach at the Giants, Joe Judge.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he has a unique thought.
Yeah, he shook Sean's hand like once, so he's obviously part of that coaching tree. So, but no, it's and then you look at like the Cowboys. They didn't go young.
Nope.
They went, and what their mind was is proven, which depending on which school of thought that you're acquiring is how successful really was he with Green Bay. And I think there's a lot of Cowboys fans that are like, well, maybe he really isn't the guy for the job. I don't know. But yeah, that's a whole other subject for a whole other stream. But yeah, it's 1-0. We're getting into the top of the second here, and let me know in the comments. Are you guys pulling? Who are you pulling for? Are you pulling for the Braves? Are you pulling for the Dodgers? I know I have a lot of friends that are Dodger fans that I really like sending really, really irritating memes to and GIFs. So I'm hoping that trend can continue. But one other thing that we got to jump on is Clayton Kershaw. With his back, he's scratched from game 2. I think even game 3 went game 4 or something. Gives up like 5 runs in 3 innings. Not his best showing. But he did have a couple other outings in the previous series where he looked not dominant, but was very efficient, got the job done, and it's still a monkey that it's not, even if the Dodgers go on to win this series, he would have to come out and pitch a gigantic game in the World Series to get that monkey off his back. If he went 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, to me that's not even good enough. He needs to be almost unhittable, and it's very. And I'm not saying that just to pick on him. I'm just saying that. Excuse me. He's been there so much and just got shit on almost every single time, that he needs to go so far above and beyond, in most people's opinion, to get that monkey off his back. Now, if he goes out and has a mediocre game and the Dodgers end up beating the Rays, he gets his ring, the Dodgers get their ring, we can stop hearing about they haven't had a ring since 1986 or whatever the fuck it was. And to me, that still doesn't put him, of course, Clayton Kershaw is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But he's kind of got like that Greg Maddux type of stigma where Maddux was never really dominant in the playoffs. When the Braves were very, very good, Tom Glavine pitched very well. John Smoltz pitched very well. And it always seemed like Greg Maddux would have a really horrible first inning, and that would end up losing them the game. So, for those of you that think I'm picking on him, I'm not. I'm just saying that
He needs to get the job done.
Yeah, basically just shut the fuck up and get it done, because everyone is tired of making excuses for you. You're the only one that's gonna have to, put, just do it. Just there. Dansby solo jack. Oh man, this Braves team has so much just energy that jumping out to this really, really, and it's not a huge lead. It's 2-0. Don't get me wrong.
In the playoffs, that's a big deal.
Energy and momentum is very huge, and
434 feet.
Oh, it was a second decker. It was a no doubter. It was a no doubter, and the guy that's on deck right now, Nick Markakis, I bet you he's glad that, because he initially opted out of the season, and he's kind of like that grizzled vet that he does a lot of things good but nothing great, and he kind of gets overlooked. And yeah, it's weird to think that him and Freddie Freeman are like the grizzled vets of this team. Now, yes, Ozuna is not. I mean, he's older than like Acuna and Albies and Dansby Swanson and the kid at the plate, Austin Riley, which I really, really like too. Kid's built like a fucking linebacker. But yeah, he's and great glove at third. I think he's going to be an amazing player. But yeah, if they grab the energy early, nope, didn't quite get that one. But if that, it's going to be hard to get that energy back if you're the Dodgers. Now, do they have the lineup to do it? Absolutely. Every guy on that team can go deep at any point and just grab that momentum back. But yeah, I think it's huge for especially for a younger team like the Braves to grab that and just run and never look back. And
like we said in the last podcast, they have nothing to lose.
No, and just think about what we were talking about last week, because everyone wrote the Braves off. They wrote them off like, they might get one game, 2 games. Hell, you and I even said it.
I said Dodgers in 6.
Yeah, and no one, even really Braves fans, probably could have ever saw this coming down to this, especially jumping out to a 2-0 lead. And now that it's Game 7, these kids are looking more and more poised, and there's been some blowout games, but there's also been some close games too. So there's definitely room for. I mean, hell, it's top of the second inning, so we got plenty of baseball to go. And yes, there is a football game going on right now, but it's the Game fucking 7, and I think who is it? San Francisco and Chargers, or
no.
It's San Francisco,
San Fran, and L.A.
Yeah,
the Rams.
Yep, that's it. And I do have the Rams defense going right now.
So do I.
And and speaking of fantasy, playing Mr. 2Ks this week, and he's been reeling. He's on a 2-game losing streak, and
we expect a comment out of that, Kyle.
And your boy Turbo is the number 1 team in the fucking league. And we are, when we went live, Kyle and I were projected to tie. Which he had Dak go down last week, which is devastating. You never want to see anything like that happen ever.
As someone who's had a couple ankles, that one was nasty.
Yeah. Anytime when the bone is poking through the skin, that's not good.
That one was gross.
That's not good. And me, I've got Mr. Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf on a bye. So, Kyle, you're lucky you caught me on the week that you did. And out of nowhere, I was looking because I picked up Mr. Fitzmagic, which didn't have a whole lot of magic. He did throw for 3 touchdowns and like 191 yards.
They quit trying the third quarter because they were just beating the crap out of him.
And 2Ks picked up Tannehill, and those were 2 of the guys I was going back and forth with, and obviously Kyle had the waiver priority, so it really didn't matter if I put in the pick to get Tannehill anyway, because I wouldn't have gotten him. And so yeah, obviously his pickup came up a lot stronger than mine, and actually Joe Burrow on my bench outscored Mr. Fitzpatrick, so it really didn't matter. But someone in our league dropped Chase Claypool. Guess who picked up Chase Claypool?
Me in my league.
Guess who now has probably, if you're going to start a team with two very young wide receivers, I've got DK Metcalf and Chase Claypool now.
Talk about a dynasty.
Yeah. So I'm very, very excited about that going forward. But yes, we are projected to tie, and I think he still has Zeke to go. So I think that's what, Monday night. So
Arizona, Dallas,
and we'll see what that team looks like moving forward without Dak. I have a feeling that Zeke's going to get a lot more touches, which is not good for my fantasy football outlook. So we shall see. But speaking of football, Mr. Reed, we have Big Ten football this weekend. Now, for those of you that don't know, well, if you're looking at the video, you know what team is my team. Other way. This way, right there. Notre Dame flag. I'm a huge Irish fan. But it's been weird. It's been weird not having... If you're any fan of college football, it's weird not having the Big Ten there. Weird. It's weird not to see Ohio State ranked. It's weird to see just where a lot of the other teams, where they would stand right now. Because
here in the Midwest, Big Ten football is,
it's gold.
It's the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to sit down on Saturday and watch some Big Ten football.
Like I said, I don't have I don't even have a horse in the fight, or whatever that expression is. Sorry, I had a huge ice cube in my throat. But we kind of touched on it very early in the show. Friday, October 23rd. Which, like I said, it feels weird. It's almost November. But Illinois at Wisconsin, 8 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. And then a big day Saturday starting off. Rutgers at Michigan State. Let's talk about Michigan State for a little bit.
Well, let's talk about Rutgers first, too. Greg Ciano's back at Rutgers. So, Chris Ash, obviously a very good coach. Coach at Ohio State. Obviously deserved a head coaching opportunity. Probably a mistake to take the Rutgers job, because Rutgers should think about going back to Division III or wherever the hell they came from.
Yes. Yep.
But Greg Ciano obviously had a lot of success there. So they've been the armpit of the Big Ten since they've joined it.
Yeah, and it's Kyle and I they've been the butt of our jokes for quite a while.
Right.
Which rightfully so. If you want people to take you seriously, win something. But
A game.
Yeah. Let's start with one. But Michigan State, it's obviously a different team now, different coach. A whole new, and no one's really talking about him.
No, and I think rightfully so. Mel Tucker, I think, obviously inherits a difficult situation. Mark D'Antonio didn't leave under the best of circumstances.
Not at all.
Left him really thin at quarterback.
They've been thin at quarterback since Kirk Cousins.
But, obviously last year, miserable.
Yeah, Brian Lewerke was horrible. What's funny is that I watch a bunch of football card breaks and baseball card breaks, and there's one product in particular that for whatever reason has a lot of Brian Lewerke signatures and Shea Patterson autographs. And it's like, who the fuck wants any of those? Maybe Mrs. Lewerke, his mom, might want some of them. I don't know. I sure as hell don't want them. But no, it's gonna. You're right. I'm not saying that D'Antonio left the cupboard thin, because Michigan State's defense has always been good.
They're always good.
Always been good. Seems like they always have a well above average running back. Their offensive line is usually very stout, but they haven't been known for quarterbacks and receivers. And even here lately, I would say their running back stable's kind of been average. But on the other hand, too, they were, kind of spoiled with Le'Veon Bell for quite a while. I mean, as much as your opinion on him and what he's done in the NFL is beside the point. We're talking about what he did at Michigan State. He was a dominant back. I mean, he was by far, that's why he got drafted where he did. I mean, he was a very, very dynamic player. And those guys don't come around every day unless you're Nick Saban. And even Nick Saban here the last few years has been struggling to find that dominant back. So
Nick Saban or now Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Those guys just keep fielding back after back.
And quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. And that's one thing that Kyle and I have been saying for years is that if Notre Dame and Michigan both want to be where they want to be, contending with the Alabamas and the Clemsons, you have to have an elite quarterback just like them. And am I saying Ian Book is an elite? He's above average. If you look at the game yesterday, it was fucking garbage. Now, I'm not saying that. I think that Tony Dungy and Mike Tirico were doing him a favor, saying how windy it was, but it was rather odd. They actually showed video. This was at Notre Dame Stadium. There's the flagpole, and then in front of it is the uprights. The flagpole, just for the sake of the argument, the flagpole, the flag is going to your left. The flags on top of the uprights were going to your right. So yes, the wind was swirling, and I guess it has a lot to do with the new jumbotron that they put over there that kind of makes the wind really, really odd. But in the past, Ian Book has been like a 72% completion guy. Now, granted, there's a lot of receivers that he's still meshing with, still getting to know, but it was a struggle watching him throw the ball yesterday. But yeah, getting back to Michigan State though, I really don't know what to expect, and I'm pretty sure the coaching staff at Michigan State really doesn't know what to expect. But
Mel Tucker's no slouch.
No,
he's going to get the job done. I mean, he took Colorado, a perennial mediocre team, and they had a really, really good year last year, obviously. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, Michigan State wouldn't have targeted him. And there are a lot of good coaches out there that can't get the people to get the job done. And so you have to be either a good recruiter or a better coach. And in the case of Nick Saban, you're just both.
Mm-hmm. Him and Dabo both.
Yeah, it's not hard to walk up to somebody and hold up both hands and say, well, my hands are kind of heavy because I got rings on both hands.
Speaking of which, I mean, this is kind of sidetracking a little bit, but Kristen, my girlfriend, asked me this question yesterday. She asked me, she goes, how do these coaches keep getting good kids? I said, well, obviously winning helps, but you have to get the recruits to win. And it's your system, it's your program that you run, how you do things, how you recruit. And yes, I'm almost positive it's easier to recruit, just like you said. When Nick Saban's had how many national titles, Dabo's had how many national titles now. But I said the thing that makes those two coaches unique is that they can recruit a kid. This kid knows he's going to be sitting for 2 years. And those kids will still come, practice, get mop-up time, and get their chance to start for 2 years or even sometimes a year. And, I mean, granted, they could redshirt 1 year or whatever, but and then they'll get their shot for 1 year just to say they played for Nick Saban, just to say they played for Dabo Swinney and compete for that national title for 4 years. And once you get your shot, you get your shot. I said, that you have to be a hell of a recruiter to do that, knowing that this kid is going to sit behind someone for 2 or 3 years until they get their shot or go play somewhere else where they play all 4 years. So, and everyone keeps saying, well, Nick Saban just keeps restocking, and so does that. This is what they do. So that's what makes those coaches so unique. That's any coach that's been there for any amount of time. If they continue to win and keep winning and keep getting better year in and year out, that's what they're doing. So for them to come into a kid's house and say, yes, come play for me, but you're going to be sitting the bench for 2 years. Okay. Now, granted, a lot of times freshmen don't start anyway, so that's not the issue. But for me, if I was a stud quarterback or stud running back or even a stud defensive end, the top players that get drafted in the first round that make a shit ton of money, I don't know if I could buy into that.
Be tough.
I don't know if I could buy into that because I'd want to play as much as I could from my freshman year.
You want to show these guys, hey, I get the job done.
Yeah, and instead of playing 1 year for Saban, there's only 1 year of a video of me.
Right.
But to each their own. I mean, and like I said, that's what makes these coaches. That's what makes them unique, and that's what separates them from everybody else.
And a lot of NFL teams have trouble with those one-hit wonders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah,
one-hit wonder at North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent college season. And now he is benched in favor of journeyman Nick Foles.
Yes, which we won't even get into that because that's a whole other fucking show. Let's continue on, my friend. We've got Nebraska at Ohio State. It's going to be a blowout.
What do you think the line is in that game?
Fuck, you can look it up.
I know, just a guess. What you're the odds maker in Vegas, and you want to make some money on the Ohio State game. What do you do?
I'm laying points.
55-3.
Yeah,
I mean a 50-point spread.
I would say an easy 35, easy, if not more. Over under probably at about 80. I'm probably realistically probably 70. But yeah, that's Nebraska again is a team that's never had a really good quarterback. So then that one's at noon, 3 on Fox. Penn State at Indiana, 3 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. That could be a tricky game.
Indiana's no slouch. Tom Allen's got those kids ready to rock.
Yeah,
he was 8-5 last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a good season at Indiana. Their first winning season since 1993.
And they have some fucking athletes.
Yes,
they have some athletes. And because it's at Indiana, there's a lot of people that are picking Penn State to be a very, very good team in the Big Ten. So
obviously, James Franklin is an excellent
great coach. Yes. And then the nightcaps are Michigan at Minnesota.
My boy PJ Fleck.
Yep, and Harbaugh's got him a new quarterback. Well, Milton's been there, but now it's his time to shine, his team. So we shall see. There were times that I was sitting here talking to Kyle on this very podcast saying that Milton's the best quarterback that Harbaugh's ever had.
I read something today that not that this means anything, but Devin Gardner works with Michigan quarterbacks now.
Is he really?
Yes. And he said today that, hey, I'm not, I'm a Michigan guy, obviously, but I'm a realist also, and Milton is the next household name.
I believe it. The kid's got everything. It's just, I think Harbaugh kind of put too much into Shea Patterson that he definitely was not the fit that I think Harbaugh was hoping for. So we shall see with Milton. Like I said, that's going to be a tough spot going into Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely.
First game into Minnesota, just like every other schedule, everyone's playing conference-only games, so there's no fucking cupcakes. You're not going to play a D3 school and have Milton get his feet wet. I mean, he's going into Minnesota. So we shall see how he handles that and how the rest of the team handles that and see what kind of surprises PJ has up his sleeve. Because if you followed him at any point in his career, he's definitely not a dull coach to watch. He calls a great game, and there's always a little wrinkle in there somewhere. And he usually catches teams so far off guard that it makes it really, really fun to watch. So again, that's at 7:30 on ABC. and the actual, well, Maryland at Northwestern. And again, I think Northwestern's just going to walk all over Maryland just because it's Northwestern. I mean, they, again, always have a great presence at home.
Right? They've talked about, dark horse candidates for the Atlanta Falcons job.
Sure.
Pat Fitzgerald.
I mean, he's done nothing but win. And again, he's another guy that.
And Northwestern is one of those schools that it's not like, hey, Michigan State, you got a felony. You're really good at running the football, so come play for me. Northwestern, you have to be smart and be able to run a football.
Yeah.
And those people don't come by very often, and if they do, usually they're not going to Northwestern.
They're usually going to a place like Notre Dame or something like that.
So
if they're, I shouldn't just throw Notre Dame out there, but if they're looking for academics and stuff like that, usually it is someplace other than Northwestern. But Northwestern has, if I remember correctly, just opened a whole new training facility and everything to accommodate the players better. So it's that and.
Well, Fitzgerald is invested there.
Mm-hmm.
He's invested there. He wants to be there. He wants to make it successful.
Yep.
It's not a stepping stone program for him. I'm sure, like I'm sure it has been.
Oh, sure.
You go to Northwestern, you can win at Northwestern. Hey, let's go down to Miami, or let's get the hell out of Northwestern.
Speaking of the Atlanta Falcons job, did you see the score of that game?
Yeah.
The fuck has that team been all year?
Julio
Jones has 130 yards or whatever and two touchdowns. Ridley has 115 and a touchdown.
I have Matt Ryan in my big league, and I picked up 3 quarterbacks and I dropped them all and said, you know what, we're going to keep Matt Ryan in there and see what happens. That was a good call.
I bet you had a boner the whole fucking.
That was a good call. I'm sitting there in the duck blind watching the point total just skyrocket.
Yeah, and they. Yeah, it's like, where's this offense been? Where has this been? And
right, what happened? Was Dan Quinn keeping a lid on the offense? Or did Matt Ryan just say, hey, this is my offense now. Well, we're going to throw the football.
On top of that, too, the defense gave up, 10 points?
Yeah, it was 43-20 or something like that.
Where before the defense was giving up 40.
Yeah, and they were giving up 20 in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. So... Yeah, I just wanted to, you said that, and that was one thing I did want to get out there. It's like, come on, guys, where the fuck has this been? Not only for fantasy owners, but for Falcons fans. Mm-hmm. I mean, come fuck on.
Shout out to my boy Boo out there, the only Falcons fan I know.
Yeah, it's been I've been a Matt Ryan fan the whole time, just because. When he was at Boston College, how much he torched the Notre Dame secondary, consistently, and him and like two receivers were the entire fucking offense, and they'd still win. He
was a stud. He is a stud.
Yeah, and so I followed him. I'm not saying I've always been a Falcons fan. I've been a Matt Ryan fan, and he's another dude that you never really hear anything negative about.
Yep, just goes about his business.
Yep, quietly, and there, with all of this turmoil and everything with that team, he's having probably the best passing season of his career, which should be really fucking easy because you've got two of the top 10 receivers on your team. So,
and a former Pro Bowler running back.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and yeah, there should be no way that offense doesn't score 35 points a game. It's just the defense is giving up 40, and so I want to say Romeo Cornell's the temporary coach there.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
I think that's what I heard. Like I said, if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and tell me. But yeah, I think old Romeo was still there and definitely has his experience with head coaching. So that's not the issue. And if he was the defensive coordinator, then I'd be shocked that his defense is giving up that much because he's always been a defensive-minded coach. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see where that team goes. But let's get back to a little bit more Big Ten, and then we're coming up about that hour mark, so we'll kind of wrap it up from here. And then next week, Friday night kicks off with Minnesota at Maryland. Feeling Minnesota will walk through that one. And then we've got a pretty good slate on Halloween here, Chris. Shit gets really, really deep real quick. We're just gonna throw, second week in the Big Ten schedule. Ohio State at Penn State.
Shabam.
Let's just drop dick and just see how this walk right into the fire. Let's not even warm things up. Let's not. There's no tickle in the balls here, Chris. We're just gonna drop dick and get right into it.
Right.
Michigan State at Michigan.
Shabam.
Wisconsin at Nebraska. Here's one that I'm very interested in. We just talked about Northwestern at Iowa.
Ooh.
Iowa's always been that sneaky team, especially at home.
Kirk Ferentz gets the job done.
Yep. The Big Ten, I would say from top to bottom, it has got to be the most complete conference.
And it usually is.
And
you look at the other conferences in football, and the SEC has Alabama and Georgia.
Yep.
They're the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Pac-12, Oregon.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is down, but you're right, and it seems like
Oregon and Stanford, right? Big 12, Oklahoma and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Oklahoma State. Every once in a while, Iowa State kicks it in there.
Get Baylor mixed in there every once in a while too.
But you come to the Big Ten, and historically, Ohio State and Michigan, proven winners.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa, proven winner. Wisconsin, proven winner.
Michigan State there for
Michigan
a
State
long
here
time.
for a while, and even you bring in Nebraska, going back to the 70s with Tom Osborne, a proven winner, national championships.
Yep, and it seems like
and you can't leave Penn State out, of course.
No. But it seems like the Big Ten is almost penalized at a certain extent. Hear me out. Is that because the conference is so deep that they just beat the shit out of each other, and the teams that are vying for those top 4 spots for the playoff spots get that one loss because their quarterback had a bad day or the weather was. I mean, take for instance
You're playing in the north.
Well, the
weather sucks here in November sometimes.
The video you showed me yesterday or last night, the 5-year anniversary of the block punt.
Oh, we were coming up to it.
Yeah,
we'll just get right into it. So, if you guys want me to narrate the play, I can if you'd like, but
no,
I'll spare all my Michigan fans the.
It's weird things that happen like that happen all the time in the Big Ten.
Jalen Watts Jackson, baby, woo woo.
So they're almost too good or too deep to almost. I'm not going to say compete with the other conferences, but
you only get one spot from the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So in the playoffs, so who gets it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You beat the crap out of each other, and those guys from the West. I mean, obviously that part of the Big Ten is down.
But
it's hard here in the East with Penn State perennial.
Yep.
Michigan perennial. Ohio State perennial. So only one of those teams is getting into the playoff.
Michigan State there for a while. I mean, everyone's calling for, they want to redo the divisions in the Big Ten, but just because they're down now doesn't mean that they're going to be down forever.
No, Alabama was down before Nick Saban came.
Yeah.
Clemson football. I mean, the ACC was dominated by Florida State and Bobby Bowden for 30 years, and Miami.
Yep.
With really whoever their coach was, they were good.
Yeah. Well, getting back to you go back to the Catholics versus convicts. That whole era.
Jimmy Johnson, Howard Schnellenberger.
Yep.
And even some Larry Coker.
Yeah.
They were good.
Yep. And now you're seeing.
But you only had 2 or 3 teams, 2 teams in those conferences that were really top tier. And then you come into the Big Ten, and fair enough. Ohio State and Penn State right now are the 2 top tier teams in the conference. But the step down to the second column of competition, that I'll call it, isn't as steep as it is in the other conferences.
Hell no.
Michigan is no Kentucky in the SEC or
no.
An analogy. That second tier of right now of teams has on any given day the potential to come out and beat Ohio State and Penn State.
Absolutely.
And that's what muddies the waters so hard for Michigan.
And aside from like your Maryland and Rutgers, even though Maryland a couple years ago had a good, was it last year they got out to like a 4 or 5-0?
Yeah, I don't know. Last year, 2 years ago.
Last year or the year before, because I know it was either those 2 years, because Kyle and I talked about it. Those two, well, Purdue you can kind of throw in there as well, but even Purdue is sneaky. It's sneaky. There's not. You could take all of those teams, aside from those three I just mentioned. You could pull them out of a hat and say, you're playing here, you're playing here, you're playing here. And there might be one blowout depending on the matchup. Every other game like that, I have a feeling, would be so nail-biting and so interesting to watch and be on the edge of your fucking seat. And to me, that's what makes Big Ten football so great, is because yes, there are some blowouts. You're going to get that regardless of what. I mean, you look at the NFL, they do it. You look at any other conference. But the likelihood of it happening, I think, is smaller in the Big Ten, no matter which game you flip on.
Than any other major conference in college football.
Yes. And to me, just as a football fan, I love that when it happens. I want to see competitive football. I don't want to see blowouts. Clemson won like 73-7 yesterday. And
Trevor Lawrence had 400 yards or 300 and some yards first half.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns.
And to me, that's not fun to watch. No.
Not fun to watch.
It did start out good. I mean, Clemson took the ball down, scored. Who the fuck were they playing?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, that's right. And kudos to Georgia Tech for getting out of the triple option style play and actually get a kid that can spin the ball. 'Cause to me, that's a lot more fun. But they kick off. Georgia Tech gets the ball, moves it a little bit. Kid connects with like a 45-yard pass, get a touchdown. I'm like, oh, shit, this game's about to be real competitive. Nope. They kick off to Clemson. They take it out. Trevor Lawrence airs it out for an 83-yard touchdown pass. First play. And it was just downhill from there. So that's the defense. The Clemson defense held Georgia Tech's offense scoreless for damn near the whole game, while putting up 73 points. So yeah, to me, yes, it is fun to watch a good football team play. Clemson is an excellent football team. That's why they're ranked number 1. And even last night, we got into the Georgia-Alabama game, and that game was tight for a while. And I checked the score again, and it's like 45-27. I'm like, what the fuck happened? That even though it ended up a lopsided score, that was a highly contested game. I like watching games like that. And it's always fun to watch good football teams. But when they're constantly blowing everybody out, no, I'll pass. Well, Chris, that's our hour, brother. That's our hour. I again want to thank you for filling in for Mr. 2Ks.
Yeah, well, the thumping stopped outside, so must be the Russians are gone, and we can go to bed safe and sound tonight.
They're watching the podcast.
Oh, so. Fair enough. Well, shout out to you.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully next week we'll be back on track with the other camera angle, and we might have Chris back. Who knows? But I do know that 2Ks will be back, barring anything outrageous. And God bless it if everything is the way it's supposed to be. Let's put it that way. And meaning his wife does not kill him.
I guess give Turbo a shout and see if you like the 3-person format every once in a while, or if you want to banish me to Never Land.
No, they didn't want us to banish Christian, so I have a very, very good feeling you're safe. But all right, 2K crew, thank you for joining us. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you do want to be notified when we go live. And I'm going to start doing some other cool shit on here on this channel as well, aside from the podcast. So
go Braves!
Go Braves! We're 2-0 in the bottom of the third, and yeah, I'm sure next week we'll be talking a little bit of World Series and obviously our Big Ten reaction. So we'll catch you guys next week, and until then, holla at your boy. Oh, and hold on, Jim Rome, we're coming for you still. Don't worry.